This is Lady Ann, owner of KPNL Radio and hostess of the Caravan Library of Lore, and I support Tessa. As an experiencer myself, I have filed my own reports with them, and the professionalism and heart they have shown my case goes above and beyond. If you have had an experience, I cannot recommend Tessa enough.
Hi, this is Ernie Hudson, Winston's and more from Ghostbusters. I want to let you know that Ryan Stacy, he's created the Experiencer Support Association, TESA. You can check them out at www.tesacan.org. Now, they investigate paranormal, UFO, and provide support to experiencers. But you can check them out at, like I said, www.tesacan.org and see for yourself if they're really Ghostbusters. I can tell you this, they are a non-profit organization. Good luck, have fun, and keep it blessed.
Good evening. You are listening to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat, a podcast by the Experiencer Support Association. Tessa is a UFO, paranormal, and paracryptid investigation association. We investigate everything belonging to the global phenomenon linked to highly strange and unexplained experiences. We also connect experiencers with other experiencers, creating a safe, positive environment to engage and discuss this phenomenon without judgment, criticism, or retribution. From the land of the white rolling sands on the southeasterly tip of Georgian Bay, to all of you listening around the world, as we simulcast live on KPNL Radio, we salute you. If you want to go back and listen to our previous episodes, go to youtube.com/the Experiencer Support Association. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button and ring that bell to be instantly notified when we are live, not only for these episodes, but every single element Tessa has to offer. On our website, tessacan.org, we have something for everyone. We have support for experiencers, data for independent researchers, and places to advertise for professional partners. Hello, everybody. Today is May 13th, 2021, and I, Ryan Stacy, am your host this evening. If you are watching this live on the replay, remember to comment and let us know that you're here. I am noticing that we do have some members in the, from the YouTube channel here, so I want to say hello to the Demon Guy, Tim Morrison, and Chantal Chauvin, and KPNL Radio. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Our guest for Season 3, Episode 16, which is Episode 52, lucky number 7, if you're a numerologist, is Dan Jones. Dan became interested in the UFO phenomenon as a young boy, the possibility of ETs and life on other planets. After seeing Close Encounters of the Third Kind, it was solidified for him when it was released at the theater. Dan started watching the sky and became very interested in what could be beyond Earth. Dan spent more than 20 years working in various support roles in hospitals. At one hospital, he had several encounters with ghosts and the paranormal. Some of his encounters were reenacted on a television series called Haunted Hospitals. Dan's interest in UFOs continued to grow. He spent more time skywatching, and occasionally he would see objects and a phenomenon that he could not explain. He joined MUFON in 2015 and soon became a field investigator in Canada. Working with eyewitnesses and examining evidence, by doing that, confirmed what he had already believed, which is we are not alone. Some of his investigations were published in the 2019 edition of UFO Cases of Interest by Robert March. Dan and I have worked side by side during my time within MUFON Canada, and he is the newest member of the Experiencers Support Association, which means we are starting to put the band back together. So Dan, put on your tinfoil hat. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good, man. Great to see you. It's been so long.
As I was sitting backstage, I just started to think, when was the last time we saw each other live? I guess it was the last ACE conference. Was that 2019?
2019 was the one I protested.
But you were there.
but I was there. So yeah. 2018 would be the last official one. Right. The last one. Yeah. The one with the dill pickle chips and the striptease. Remember that?
That was it. Yeah.
That was it. Oh my God. So how you been?
Great. Been doing good. Surviving all this COVID mess and just carrying on with investigations and just getting by.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. So you want to take that? You need that?
No, that's my mom. She must know I'm busy because she's told me.
It's all good. This is Dan's first time ever on a podcast, by the way, and we're live, so we can't.
We'll let it go.
This is what we're working with. So, okay, so let's talk about that a little bit too. So, what kind of support roles have you done with hospitals? If you want to talk about the pandemic, you can. If not, just in general, in relation to what you do as a field investigator, and what are some of those paranormal encounters that I mentioned in your bio?
My role in the hospital was I worked all evenings and nights, which is convenient for paranormal experiences. But I was in the front lines and on a support role of as a team lead for where we moved patients. I was on call to distribute equipment, medication, supplies, and you name it. I was on call all over the hospital for anything that they needed. And where my experiences were happening was in a wing of the hospital we called Force South, and it was a wing that was a palliative care wing, and it was just shut down because of budget restraints. But it was just like they walked away. Everything was left there. The beds, the equipment, everything was left. Everyone just walked away, closed the doors, knowing one day when the budget was feasible, it would open again. So we stored a lot of equipment up there. And shortly after I would go to retrieve equipment on call, I just noticed things where I didn't feel like I was alone up there. I had the sense that someone's right beside me, someone's behind me. I almost felt, when you get that chill when you're in the presence of a ghost or a being able to be, somebody's right at my shoulder. Mm-hmm. And the experience just escalated from there. It was like almost every time I went up there, the experience got more and more intense to the point where doors are slamming, lights are going off, call bells are going off in the hall, and there's no one in the rooms. There's no one there. And it was just such a bizarre experience. And at first I was scared, and then it just became the norm for the night. Okay, I'm going to Forest South to get some equipment. Okay, I'm here. Well, what's going to happen tonight? And it almost became like I expected it. It was a comfort to have some kind of a paranormal experience while I was on that unit.
Yeah, no, I remember. I do remember that was the one that was reenacted on Haunted Hospitals, right? Yeah. That particular event. So in that reenactment, there was a second person as well. You had a partner there that witnessed the events as well, correct?
That was what really interested the producers of Haunted Hospitals. It was two witnesses simultaneously. Mm-hmm. We would go to the unit together because we knew something was going to happen, and most times it did. Seeing shadows. Probably the most dramatic event was going down the hallway, and here's the call box going off. Like someone was in the room pushing a call button. So we would look at the box, and I said, I'm not answering it. You can go ahead, you can answer. And the phone rang. So the phone started ringing. And then when we looked at the phone unit, it wasn't plugged in. And the phone was ringing, the lights were all going off. And I was like, whoa, okay, what's going on up here? And we would go to the rooms. Sometimes we'd go to a room to get some equipment, and the door is shut, and all the equipment in the room was pushed up against the door. Now, there's no other way in or out of that room except through that main door. So it was like somebody inside had to push that equipment up against the door tight, so to push it to get in.
So it was vacant, like it was shut down for a while, and then you were just using it as storage facility. You guys were going back and forth, using it as you needed.
Yes.
And then all that stuff had happened. So as a field investigator, I know well, maybe we'll get into the blend later on, but this was prior to you being a field investigator for MUFON, right?
Yes.
Okay. So at the time, did you have any investigative explanation for that, or any theory? What do you think was going on?
I just accepted that. I mean, I was always open to the possibility of ghostly encounters, of paranormal and NDT and extraterrestrial life. So I just accepted it. Okay, I am in the middle of a ghostly paranormal experience, and there would be times when we actually saw shadows of people moving through the hallway, and there was 3 different sizes of beings. I couldn't tell at the time if they were male or female, but one had to be a child. It was a very much shorter shadow, almost 2-dimensional, and then 2 larger shadows, which we assumed were adults. And at the time, when I first saw them, I thought somebody else was on the unit, because they were at the top of the hallway and then kind of went down a corridor that joins the 2 sides of the unit. So I tried to follow them, and there's nothing there. And this happened quite a few times, where we just saw shadows, the same 3 shadows. And these were, I assume, the people who were occupying, the ghosts that were occupying this unit for whatever reason.
Interesting. So did you have, and we've never talked about this before, ever. I don't think we've ever shared. I didn't realize you were into paranormal until after I left MUFON, I think. I think that's kind of when this all kind of started unraveling. Yeah. So prior to that, because you were already primed for this event, so you already had that belief in there. So what happened to you as a kid or younger? Like, what, you had to have had some sort of experience, did you not? Or was this your first one?
That was really my first one. I thought I saw, as a younger man, I thought I saw my grandfather after he had passed away. I thought he had visited me. He smoked these White Owl cigars, and I would often get a blast, like almost someone blew smoke in my face in the house. It was this distinct smell of a White Owl cigar. So I had a few little incidents, but until I experienced these events at the hospital, that's what really convinced me that there are other dimensionals beings around us, and there are ghosts around us, and they're real.
I was just going to lead into that. Before that, though, I just want to shout out UFO Man. Thank you so much for becoming a member. That just popped up. Thank you so much. Good to see you tonight. So again, like I was kind of going to lead into the ultra spectrum kind of conversation, but like we're already there. So, and you obviously you know my stuff too. So let's try and keep this more around your thoughts on the spectrum. But do you think that it might be possible, with the experience you have now as a field investigator for MUFON investigating UFOs and abductions, that it's possible that the shadow figures may be extraterrestrial?
Possibly, until I looked into the history of the property the hospital was on. There was a farming family that lived on that property before the hospital was built, and they tragically died in a fire. And there was 3 people in the family. And I kind of got the sense that maybe they were occupying the building. At first, I thought because it was a palliative care unit, I thought maybe, well, it was because ghosts usually, as you know, or correct me, I always find that ghosts usually visit where they frequented, whether it's at work or at home or at schools, or maybe where they were in a long-term care facility. But then when I learned the history of the property, I thought, well, possibly are these beings I'm seeing, these ghosts I'm seeing, could they be the original owners of the property, the hospital, who tragically died in a fire, and they just have decided not to just pass on, and we're going to hang around? Is that
Yeah, no, see that's the thing. When we don't know, we don't have any confirmation yet, and that is one of the possibilities, especially on the paranormal side, of like life after death and or near death experiences or anything like that, like non-local consciousness. So that's a very good. If all those things are true, as we do with investigations, it would make sense by association because you were able to confirm all those events that corroborate what you saw.
And after that, there was sightings of, and all kinds of people saw this in the hospital. There was sightings of a young boy. He would come down the hallway, and what they described as a three-dimensional, that they thought it was somebody's child that would wander around the hospital late at night. Was it a family there late? Was it somebody's child that was visiting? They stayed late, but when they would follow the boy, he would just kind of disappear off into the unit. And this happened over and over. And this young child would appear. They said he looked about maybe 8 to 10 years old, and he would walk down the hallway and then just sort of vanish. And then they started having reports of patients on that unit calling in the night saying, "Can you? I'm trying to sleep. Can you come and get this kid out of my room?" And when they would go there was no child. And the most bizarre thing was there was one evening. A patient had called and said, there's a boy knocking at my window. Can you come and see what he wants? I'm trying to sleep. Well, that was on the 3rd floor, and there's no balconies outside the window. And the same boy was the same description they were giving, where the boy was knocking on the window outside of the 3rd floor patient room. And that was bizarre. That
is bizarre too. So so the interdimensional, you mentioned that earlier too. So is that more of a plausible explanation? Do you think it's 2-dimensionals? Like is it the actual deceased, or is it another dimension that's parallel to ours that's kind of mixing together at that time? What do you think?
I don't know if that can connect, but I do believe it was the deceased. That was the origin of the person there, but cannot connect with another dimension. I'm not sure of that, but I do believe that that was the ghost of the child that possibly had died in the fire.
Yeah, so pretty good, strong coincidence or correlation to ignore that.
I would say the most shocking thing I'd seen at the hospital, and haunted hospitals didn't cover this. It was another.
I was gonna ask that if there's anything that didn't make the cut. Cool.
Oh yeah, we had long interviews and discussions of my experiences with the producers, but I did a lot of or most of the morgue runs in the evening and night. We used to call it tag and bag, but I did most of the morgue duties, and we would get calls to pick up patients who had passed away. And usually there was a time they would give the patient as family time to come and just have some last respects and be with them. So I was delivering a medication on the 3rd floor of the palliative care unit, and I was walking down the hallway. I think it was about 2 a.m. I was on a night shift, and I walked past a room. It was room 333, and why I remember that I don't know, but it was room 333.
Weird.
I happened to notice a person standing in the doorway, totally 3-dimensional live person in pajamas and slippers and standing in the doorway, and which is not uncommon for patients to get up and wander in the night and walk around. Mm-hmm. And I said hello, and he stared at me. So I delivered the medication, went on my way. About 30 minutes later, I get a call from that unit to ask me to bring the morgue stretcher to pick up that patient. And I went there and I thought, well, maybe there's other patients in the room. So I went with the morgue stretcher to pick, and no, that was the gentleman, the patient I saw standing there. And I said, is there any way that he could have been standing in the doorway about half an hour ago? And they said, impossible. He's been bedridden for a week. And he passed away 4 hours ago. And I saw him standing in the doorway 30 minutes prior to the call to come and pick him up. And that was, he looked totally 3-dimensional, and that was just that's something I never forgot.
So residual energy, that's wild too. And those are the types of things, especially as investigators, that we scratch our heads about when we're looking for those associations to make sure that it's definitely something. And then when we're left with that, it's definitely bizarre because for me, paranormal I am a paranormal investigator, but like I'm leaning more towards it being interdimensional or some sort of extraterrestrial connection,
Right.
consciousness and things, something to do with that, or maybe non-local consciousness, near-death experiences, out-of-body stuff, blah blah blah, something along that spectrum. Still a ghost, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always had a problem with people investigating in cemeteries because that's where the bodies are rested.
Yeah.
And I feel like a hospital, more than likely, which is why the nature of those shows is more prone to be haunted, on the theory that the soul leaves the body and there's residual energy, and it's there because that's where they passed, and the bodies get moved and then later buried or worked on and then buried. So based on that logic, whether I believe it or not, the hospital is probably the prime spot if you're going to have a paranormal encounter, and that makes it so much more
because that's where the energy is left behind. That's where the soul has left the body, if you will. That's where the person has passed away, sometimes very traumatically, sometimes against their will. They don't want to leave. They're fighting to survive, and this is where the separation occurs. And I think the energy left behind is a very, very strong possibility as to why we see them sometimes as a shadow or as an actual three-dimensional being.
Yeah, because then we don't actually understand if they're aware of what has happened, especially when sometimes it's sudden. That residual energy sticks around. Like all the theories make, it makes sense. And putting it in a hospital just seems to me like, Dan works at a hospital, so maybe Dan can sneak me in the back door one day and we'll, bust open a Ouija board in the morgue,
Mm-hmm. Well, I wanted to, and I asked the manager of the hospital for their permission because the sighting of this young boy walking through the unit was becoming so frequent. I wanted to have a camera. But because of confidentiality and the photography policy at the hospital, I couldn't do it. I thought, man, if I could get a video of this boy, wouldn't that be something? But
that would be something too.
I couldn't set up a camera.
So our newest member there says, I see ghost cats from time to time. And Chantel responded saying, I've had ghost cat experience too. So what are your thoughts on the same thing we just talked about, but moving on to another species, so an animal?
For sure. I think any creature of the earth can return as a ghost, especially our animals. They're our loved ones. I mean, I think they would definitely could return to give us a visit. I totally believe that.
Cool. Okay, so let's talk experience of yours. But have you ever had any sightings, any UFO or any ET events, or is it just what you've uncovered through investigations?
No, I have, because as my interest in UFO and the aerial phenomenon grew, I started sky watching more and more, and I did see things that I couldn't explain. And then as shortly after joining MUFON and becoming a field investigator, I continued to see things, not frequently, but I continue to occasionally see things in the sky that I just couldn't explain. Orbs, just quickly moving objects, and I think I have, and they weren't, I know they weren't meteors, or, the space station is probably one of the most frequently reported event that I get, along with Elon Musk's Starlink series of satellites that he's launching. But I have seen things in the sky. I've never encountered or seen an ET being or creature, but I have witnessed objects on several occasions that I just can't explain, and I know they're not ours. I know they're not man-made.
How do you know though? How do you know for sure? Or
the way they've moved, the way they've looked, just the way that from our training and our experience and our research, there are just certain objects that man-made objects that can't maneuver. the way
Right.
objects that we see that are possibly extraterrestrial. Now, not to say they're not experimental. That's always a theory. Oh, they're experimenting with craft that we don't know about, and I know that goes on. I know they're behind closed doors of research and development with NASA and everybody else. They're probably 50 years ahead of what they're revealing to us. But at the same time, it just seems so spontaneous that I would just witness an object or something that was almost gives you chills that you can't explain. One day in the middle of the day, I live in Alliston, and I was just sitting in the front yard, and I saw an orb. It had to be the size of a beach ball. It reminded me of a big orange light bulb just pass over the house. And that was the closest. I think that was probably the closest UFO that I had ever witnessed. And I don't know, it was not a lantern. I've got a lot of experience with seeing evidence of Chinese lanterns and video and photographs and that. This looked like a big round glass bulb, and it kind of just zoomed right over the house. And I wish I'd had the phone on me or a camera on me, because it was bizarre. It just reminded me.
You could see through it. It was transparent. You said glass, right? So
it just reminded me of a big glass, about the size of a beach ball, a glass ball, illuminated orange, but it was at the same time it was transparent.
See, orange is common. I found that was very common color for these orbs. These orbitable, whatever that word. One of those words. Orange seemed to be the thing. I remember my first case with MUFON Canada. That abduction case led to a sighting of a milky orange craft, and then there's another experience here that we have as well through Tessa. Her name's Lisa. She has an orange orb, and then there's another one. There's a couple orange. Orange seems to be the common color that I'm finding.
It's a common color.
So, I mean,
and things seem to trend. I would find with investigations for a while there, more witnesses are reporting triangles, and then they're reporting orbs, and they're reporting cylindrical shaped things or oval shape. It seemed to trend, and I don't know if that's.
Well, with those trends, that kind of leans towards the possibility of that being technology that's being tested, because everyone's testing it out, right? Mm-hmm. Like you get a new phone and all of a sudden everybody has it. So, this new technology that's being discovered privately, then all of a sudden everybody has it.
Yeah.
If one person lands on the moon or goes to Mars, now everybody wants to go to Mars. So it's just, who started it, right? So
yeah, for sure.
On that, are you familiar with the big UFO document coming out June 1st that everyone's been talking about?
Is this the U.S. Pentagon release?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I still think we're at the mercy of what they want to release.
Yeah.
It's not going to be. No one's forcing them to disclose everything in the vault. I think they're just going to give us a little bit of something to chew on. Just to satisfy the demand for the public for more information about what they know about UFOs. But I really think it's going to just be the tip of the iceberg of what's actually, in the vault, if you will.
Yeah, no. I'm waiting for it too, because who knows? Like if they do, but like you said earlier, this is what made me think of it, is that maybe it is technology 50 years ahead, and they're just going to say, hey, we knew about this. Here you go, world. You need it, right? And the only
thing they can't deny is all that footage from the U.S. Air Force, the fighters, the F-18s, or the Hornets that were tracking those objects. I mean, that's something that they can't deny. They're going to have to at least. I mean, they confirm that. Okay.
Well, yeah. So they confirm that they don't know what it is, and so that's kind of substantiated, but they should know what it is. So this document should say for the sake of everybody in the world, they know what it is. Mm-hmm. Because if they don't, then that's going to put everybody in a panic, because we're going to want to know who it is.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I think that's why there's been such a lack of disclosure all the years, because if they actually revealed everything that I think that was going on. People, the public, like, why are we only hearing about this now? Why are you only telling about that? This has been, if you've been in contact and had interaction and known about this for all these years and years and years, decades probably, I think the public would be in a, an uproar of why are we only hearing about this now? So they're very, very meticulous, very sensitive to what they reveal. Little bits at a time.
So it's all part. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, like this, I always refer back to the mission to Mars. They're over on Mars. Why are they spending the billions and billions of dollars and with the rovers and with the investigation on Mars if they don't already know there's something there? There's something to reveal. And the videos and the shots we see from Mars are just what they want to show us. But there's obviously something substantially there, something that they need to see, something they want to investigate, to spend that kind of money on a planet that is apparently just barren, and we'll go and see what's up there. No, I think there's definitely something worthy to investigate.
So on that, why do all that on Mars but not do it on the moon? Why not do the same on the moon?
I don't know what's on the moon now. They're claiming that there's water on the moon, because there was talk of taking cement up there on a mission and see if they could mine the water on the moon, would it mate with our cement and allow them to have building material up there. Because they want to eventually, NASA wants to have a base on the moon, as I guess as a jump base from the moon to Mars, a refueling, a rest stop or something. But there's so much talk about creating an environment, a habitat on Mars, a permanent residence up there, and a permanent base and laboratory and everything. So I think the moon. I'm talking about the moon. So the moon is going to be a base. It's going to be a permanently inhabited base at some point.
So then we'll have
plans.
Then we'll get people to leak some footage from the moon.
Once they get up there and they start roaming around, now you'll see things, probably, maybe artifacts that haven't been revealed yet, and things that have been left behind on the moon.
See, that's the thing. If what do they know? What will they reveal, and all this other stuff? So let's play devil's advocate here. So what if this document is heavily redacted and says absolutely nothing? What does that mean?
I don't think the public in general or the UFO community will accept it. There's got to be more.
The UFO community is very small, and the rest of the world aren't even talking about it. So it would only blow up here, like in this small private community that we are all gathered together for this evening. You know.
Well, there was enough pressure to have them, prepare something, to have the fortune to reveal something. So I think our UFO community is growing. I think the more and more people want to. I don't even call it disclosure anymore. I just call it confirmation. Yeah, confirmation of what we already suspect or know.
Yeah. Validation too, confirmation too. For me, if the report does confirm some things, and I'm sure you could appreciate this, being investigating as many cases as you have as well, we have something official we could compare to, right? Because we know we got questions for the cases that we haven't closed because we still don't know what they are. Yeah. But if it looks like whatever it is they present, then like like that, like all that will come forward and be like, I knew it. Yeah. Right? Or oh wow, that was, or it could be explained. Yeah. So I'm hopeful that we'll get some answers. I don't think we're going to get the big aliens exist, because then there will be, that's the other thing too, is if they're going to announce it, they got to have an explanation of when they discovered it, where it is, how it's contained, biological stuff, all this other stuff, and all these other things have to explain the parameters. When we talk about the pandemic, they announced it, but not before having somebody from the scientific community explain what it is and how it works and why it's dangerous and why we need to do what we're doing. Yeah. So this document is also hidden within a much larger bill of other things. Yeah. So is it really going to be the main point, or is it just going to be added in at the end, like it was snuck in at the end, and we're just focusing on this one little snippet?
Possibly. I think things are only disclosed or validated or confirmed or verified once they become a problem. Once they start to affect that, like the pandemic. Once it starts to, okay, this is going to affect the world. We're going to have to talk about this now, and we're going to have to come up with some answers and what happened. And I think the same thing with I'll just say the government and UFO disclosure, until it becomes an issue where okay, things are leaking. Everyone's going to know about this. We're going to have to step up now and have some kind of an explanation. We're going to have to verify this or have explanations for this, that, and the other, because the public's going to want to know. It's now affecting civilization. It's now affecting the average citizen. I think when they're not until their backs against the wall, to the guns to the head kind of thing, do they actually start to reveal or disclose information. Right.
UFO Man chimed in and said, if it will erode the credibility of the UFO community, and two guys run the UAPTF, and they've been stiff-armed all along the way as they've been acquiring info. Any comments on that?
I don't know if it would erode the UFO community. I think would even give us a little more strength. If we had a little more validation.
Well, it would help regulate, I think, too. I think where he's coming from eroding, I think it would thin it out, because there are, variants of credentials that of people that tackle this phenomenon. Some measure those, some think they matter, sometimes they don't. It depends on the evidence that you present. At this point, when they reveal that it is something, I think what will come forward is more so a job opportunity to say, here's some job positions and here's the curriculum that is required for somebody who is already doing what we're doing to apply for said job, to do it more seriously. And then we'll basically find out, whether we actually need a university degree or a written 150 books. If any of that stuff matters.
Yeah, you have projects like Project Blue Book could become, say, occupations again. They'll actually have UFO field investigation will be an occupation. It'll be a career. They're going to need a whole staff. I mean, they have departments now that deal with this, but yeah, it would actually be a job. Yeah. To deal with the exchange of information with UFO encounters,
which would not be a bad thing, and then they could liaison with civilian UFO groups as well, if they were selected or if they were to apply and they meet those standards. So there is a positive to that. Now, let's assume that nothing comes up of it, and there's nothing new. It's the same old stuff. We got all this hype for nothing. Mm-hmm. What's the next step for ufology? What is your plan for the future, with or without this confirmation?
Then we just wait. We just wait again. We wait until the next instant. Wait until something else forces them to show their cards, because it will. If they just say, "Oh, here's a few little tidbits for you," and we had some sightings we couldn't explain, and but there will be another level, another incident, another reason they're going to have to explain. And I think that's just a matter of sitting and waiting again.
I wouldn't wait though. I'm pushing. I pushed. I did 32 requests today. I am pushing because I'm not sure if I can trust it too. So once it gets released, that will be the first American document that I will comment on. Because it will affect us as well. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk more about MUFON.
Okay.
Why did you? So you started out as a member, right? Mm-hmm. So why did you join in the first place? How did that happen?
I just heard about I'd heard about MUFON. I'm not sure if it was through the media or through a friend, but this so this is right along your line. They were the now very notable UFO investigation company, the biggest in the world I knew at that time. And I went on, so I joined, I got on the website. There's all kinds of great information, and it was just confirming what I was interested in. And And then I thought, okay, I want to investigate. I want to work with them. I want to be a field investigator, because all the information I was looking for was there. The live UFO maps, the historical cases, the investigations that you can read, in-depth investigations are all there. And I thought, okay, I want to get involved now. I just don't want to just be a member and visit the website and read the journal. I want to get involved. Sort of this, okay, now I want to get my feet wet. Now I'm kind of, this is where I want to be. I want to be able to talk to other eyewitnesses and dig in and use the resources that they have and try and help people, try and get some answers to what they're to the events that they're reporting. And that's all they want. They want answers.
Mm-hmm. And so you did that. That was back in 2015, right?
2015. Yeah.
Yeah. So how was that? How was that for you? Like, what did getting involved look like? So what's the process? I know that I know the process, but for conversation for those, how to pretend I don't know anything. How was it for you?
So you inform them that you want to become a field investigator. Mm-hmm. So then they want your location, and then the process starts. You've got to complete this exam. So you have to purchase the field investigator's manual, and then start to study that, and then you write. It's an open book exam, so you can do it at your own pace. I think I did 2 hours a night, and then complete the exam. And you've got to finish with that's 85%. So I can't remember now, but it's in the mid 85%. But I found with the exam and the way it's laid out, most of the answers were in the field manual, but some of the questions on the exam force you to research, to force you to look up these cases or these witnesses or these incidents and get the information. So I guess they want to see, are you able to research something and find information and search, for the answers that you need. So that was interesting. So okay, yeah, they really want to know, can you investigate? Can you investigate something? Mm-hmm. And then I was, I think my final bit of training was who was their main guy? Was it Cheevers? Was his last name? Was it Chuck Reaver?
Yeah, Chuck Reaver was the guy for a little bit.
He's based down in California with Chuck, and my mind is grasping the name right now. So I probably spent a couple hours with him on the internet, just talking about investigation, and then they start feeding you cases. At the time, Stu Bundy was my contact at that time. And he starts giving you some very simple cases, things that, and he even kind of gives you, well, it might be this, might be that, just to sort of get your feet wet, get some confidence built up, and then slowly just randomly that they're giving you eyewitness reports and case events to look into. But I thought the training was pretty well laid out. The whole process wasn't stressful, that's for sure. And they kind of let you go at your own pace, depending on who's feeding you cases. Sometimes you'll get a director in there, project director just slams you, here's five of a week or something. But
and who did that?
I don't know.
I had to play catch up, man. Come on. Good times.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
But I enjoyed it, and meeting people. Like when I'm working in the hospital, I meet all kinds of people from, A to Z characters and whatnot. But interviewing witnesses, that was I enjoyed that, because you meet people, the same thing from characters from A to Z. Some people are very credible, and some people are. I don't think you really saw this. I think you think you saw it, but I don't think you really saw it.
So on a scale from 1 to 10, how do you how has your experience been with MUFON?
It's been, for the most part, satisfying. For the most part, I'm at the point now where I have let my director know that because of my involvement, my career is in healthcare, my full-time job in healthcare. I'm very busy. COVID has made me extremely busy, working extra hours, and I just said, look, I'm I can't take a caseload right now. Just give me one at a time. I'll let you know when I'm done, and I'll take another case. So they've been accommodating that way. Sometimes communication lacks a little bit, but for the most part, I'm satisfied where I am right now.
Good. Communication is hard. I remember too, which is always hard because everyone's got different schedules and regulating it, and we're all trying to do a service to ufology, and we're all trying to orchestrate everything. Those are one of the challenges that I always found, which is, all part of it. But at the end of the day, you made connection with these experiencers, we're calling them experiencers, but at the time they were just witnesses. So what was that experience like for you? So when you actually had the time, you made the connection, walk us through like a really good case, like you read it, and then what did you do? And then you connected with the witness, and how was that for you?
Well, yeah, I've had cases that were very, very satisfying, very exciting with me, because it's a good case, you contact the witness. I mean, they don't want to remain anonymous. They're fully engaging with you. They don't, they want to talk, and they want to, call. Phone interviews are the best. I love the phone interviews, and they're talking and going through the experience, and that's really where the rubber hits the road with a witness, because you can just tell their credibility, their sincerity, and the event description doesn't change every time I talk to them. I've had cases where I've spoken to a witness 10 times on the phone, gathering information, and then coming back to them, they'll remember something else, or they'll have some more evidence, or they'll be, and then they really want to form a connection with you, because they're trusting that you're going to give them the answers that they need, or at least you're going to do your best to give them the answers. I had a really cool case. One of my favorite ones was a professor of physics and astronomy at Western University in London. Okay. And she was outside the observatory in the evening, just taking a break, and looked up. Something drew her attention, looked up, and there was this large triangle craft moving over the observatory. And it was close enough for her to give me the texture of the craft. She said it resembled Rubik's cubes almost, and they were rotating on the craft that had 7 lights, one at the tip, and then 3 down each side, and had no problem not being anonymous. And I mean, that's putting yourself out there, because a lot of people who are affluent, or say famous or celebrities, or who are in the public eye, who are at an affluent position in their career, don't want to go public with that, don't want to admit they've seen that because of ridicule or what people may think of them. But that's why I just totally believe what she was saying, because she was just right out there and putting herself right on the line. Didn't bother her that her position in the university, she saw what she saw, and she wanted to report it, and she wanted to talk about it. And she even I had that case handy. I thought it might come up.
You still got your binder?
She gave me, I got my little field, but this is a drawing that she gave me of the triangle that she saw.
Oh, wow, that's wild.
Yeah, I mean, she was just totally, out there on it. Had no resistance talking about it, and didn't. So,
what did you conclude? Well, how did you investigate that?
She saw a triangle. It was a UFO. She witnessed a triangle. Absolutely.
Yeah, so
totally believable. And the credibility was there, and you can tell just from talking to a witness sometimes their how sincere their eyewitness account was.
Did you get any information from the government at all, whether something was in the area?
No, there was nothing. Now there's an airport in the area, but of course, there was nothing on our radar. The London International Airport out there, they didn't review anything. But I mean, when I tracked it, so just did a Google, a map above it, and tracked the path of it. I mean, it was heading right. It was heading towards the radar should have picked it up. It was heading towards the airport with the path it was on. But
it didn't. So Do you think that the technology prevented it from showing up on radar, or the government is saying they don't have it when they really do?
Unless it was ours, I do believe the theory of they have cloaking capabilities. So I believe they could avoid radar. I mean, why wouldn't you to come down that close to Earth? You would not want to be detected. Or it was one of our experimental craft. But I do believe she saw, whether it was ours, whether it was theirs. I totally believe that's what she saw that night.
No, that's definitely something strange. Like, it reminds me of that TR3B or the black triangle.
We're supposed
pattern.
to have.
Yeah. So it's definitely a thing. Black triangles are this big, huge thing that everyone's trying to, pun intended, triangulate on. So after you investigated that with her, and you gave, how did she feel at the end of the process, spending time with you? How was that for her?
That just ended with thank you very much for confirming what I know. That I saw. We had the same discussion with the TRPB. Possibly it could have been one of ours. I don't think it was. I think the craft she saw was far more advanced, especially when she described the texture of the exterior of the craft, looking like little Rubik's cubes and rotating as it was moving, and she could actually feel the hum and almost sort of a magnetic activity as it passed over. And that was a description that I hadn't heard before. Most of them are silent, but she said, no, I felt this. There's a vibration. There was a hum. There was almost a magnetic draw that was coming from the craft. And that's how close she claimed it was.
That's interesting. Was there any damage to her or the property around? Trees, foliage, anything?
We talked about that physically, psychologically. At the time, she didn't have any time loss, memory loss, any ringing, any headache, any feeling of fatigue, or I'm going to pass out or anything. No, there was nothing like that.
Strange.
Yeah.
Just could have been a day pass, just returning home to base. Like, oops, I forgot to turn the cloaking machine on. Like it's so strange.
Yeah.
So okay. So how did that make you feel? Did you enjoy that whole process with
that was
with the experience?
a great case, and I wish I had more like them. A lot of the cases are like, oh, I saw a flash, I saw a blip, and you're trying to give, and bless them, they're doing their best to, they really want an answer, but a lot of event descriptions are just a few seconds of a sighting, or a few seconds of a flash, or a blip, or something went shooting across the sky, and without a lot of information, you feel kind of helpless to give them any kind of reasonable explanation. I mean, I can't identify something that you only saw for 2 seconds shooting across the sky. I can't give you much on that, other than that, checking star chart, checking.
But don't sell yourself short. The fact that you listened, the fact that you talked to her, the fact that you were there when she needed it, that case was assigned to you, and you gave her the attention that she needed. Did you not find that helped at least a little bit with who cares if you've identified it or not, because there's emotions and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, at the same time, like I talk as much as I can, and really try and figure out, get as much information, and try and give them some kind of an explanation, and sometimes they just want someone to tell the story to, and they're not really concerned if it was a meteorite or an ET spacecraft. They just saw something that they couldn't identify, that they're concerned about, and just speaking with them and talking with them, even though I can't give them a definitive answer, there is a satisfaction there that you have helped ease someone's mind and help them deal with what they've seen, and they don't feel so traumatized by it or so worried about it. So there's definitely satisfaction there.
Okay, cool, man. Okay, before we head to commercial, 2 more questions. Well, one question. What's the best thing about MUFON, and what's the worst thing about MUFON? Top of your head.
I guess the best thing about MUFON is the continuous feeding of cases. The worst thing about MUFON.
You can only pick one.
I can only pick one. Probably communication.
Yeah.
Probably being sort of kept in the loop with maybe administrative changes and what's going on, what the direction is sometimes. But I mean, not that we don't get hassled or anything, but it's just sort of that you're kind of in the woods sometimes with what's happening.
Well, far too many people trying to do things the same way or different ways. There's no regulation, and people disappear. So how is MUFON doing today? How on a whole, without getting into pandemic and other things prior to pandemic that kind of assisted with a double hitter?
Yeah.
Is there any future for a bounce back?
I haven't, for where I sit, I haven't noticed any lack of or decrease in the popularity or any change in the trust in MUFON. I mean, the cases keep coming in, witnesses keep feeding us reports, and that seems to be safe. So there still is that. I think there still is that trust in MUFON out there with witnesses that they'll submit their cases, and hopefully they're going to get some answers. I mean, I don't see the organization enriching or failing.
Yeah, no worries. I'll help you with that. So just for everybody listening, who knows that, you can report to anyone you want. Whether you report to Tessa or you report to MUFON, what's important is that you make that report. And you're getting it off your chest. If MUFON will do it a certain way, Tessa will do it a certain way, somebody else will do it a certain way. Figure out what it is that these service providers have to offer based on what kind of response that you want. And even if they do provide an investigation, it's not a bad idea to get a second opinion or to get an alternative opinion, because somebody we might have, even if Dan and I were still part of the same organization working on the same case, we might come to the same conclusion. When we worked on cases in the past, part of my position was to review some of his cases before closing it, and then I would send him on to some leads, as I did in this episode here. I was asking some questions to kind of hint him towards things that you needed to look at. But he's improved because he covered all those angles, which is phenomenal. Pardon me. Which is very, 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 very good. So we will pause right here, but we'll continue after a message from our professional partners. Also, if you're listening to this live on KPNL Radio or a future podcast, head over to youtube.com/The Experiencer Support Association to see the video that goes with this audio. Don't forget to comment and join the super chat. And remember, you're listening to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat, a podcast by the Experiencer Support Association. And we're going to talk about Tessa and why Dan wants to join Tessa after the break.
Ryan is one of Canada's leading new UFO investigators. He conducts and oversees UFO investigations on a constant basis and was really taken by his research. He's compiled a tremendous amount of data regarding UFOs in Canada. And just as interesting, he really goes over how UFO investigations are done and what are some of the mistakes that people make when they submit evidence. Note for starters, don't edit your videos or photos before you send them. If you want to hear more follow-up conversation between Ryan and myself, you can go to richardolanmembers.com, where we have a candid conversation on ufology, the paranormal, and more. And remember, while we learn and grow and search for the truth, let's be good to each other.
The same thing that draws aliens to our planet is the same thing that draws us to others. Exploration, curiosity, sustainability of life. That's why we go. It would make sense as to why they're visiting here.
Travis! Quit playing around, man. Get back here. Travis! The last thing I remember was this numbing shock. Stunning sort of a feeling. Very powerful. Get away from me! I was just out of my mind with fear, just screaming the whole time.
It's been theorized that aliens prefer remote areas because they don't want to attract attention. Whatever it is that they're doing, they would want to do that in a less populated area. There are multiple accounts of the same thing from people from all over the world. People that do not know each other, do not live in the same cultures, and they're all looking up, they're all seeing things in the sky. So it would be naive of us to think that we're alone in the universe.
My mission is to assist and help those experiencing this phenomenon in such a way that they're able to continue and live with it, and also in a way that it can be measured, quantified, and reinforced within today's society, so that way it can be accepted and no longer viewed in a negative way. One thing that I do value in people is the ability to sense and feel when something is right and when something is wrong. That is a natural ability that we all share. Now, when we combine that with the paranormal and ufological abductions or visits, I have the sensation that these abilities are connected. Not everyone can sense, not everyone can feel. However, those who can are typically connected with something that we cannot explain. And part of my research is not just to investigate the experience, but it's also to understand and study the experiencer to find out what they have in common with other experiencers, to try to figure out what the actual makeup is in order to be on that spectrum. There's a lot of it happening all over the world, and I do not know of any other study that is focusing on the individuals as people, only the phenomenon. Welcome back. You are listening to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. If you're enjoying the episode so far, consider becoming a member of our channel and send us a super chat. Your membership will get you bonus content like exclusive videos, and it will help us reach our goal of launching our training center, which is Interstellar, the Academy of Ufology and Paranormal Studies. Also, if you have ever had an experience, ever experienced an unexplained event involving the paranormal, UFOs, extraterrestrials, dogman, or any other paracryptid, head over to tessacan.org/reporting system. If you want to report only a UFO, you can go to MUFON.com. We do everything else, including UFOs. The more reports we get, the more we will understand this phenomenon and how it affects our people. Let the others be who have already reported be that example that proves that we are making a difference. And if it wasn't for these reports, we would not be able to do what we do. And we thank you. And for those of you that have reported to MUFON in the past or would like to continue to report to MUFON Canada, I just want to let you know a little secret. And I was telling everybody this while I was in place, but you can make a special request for a specific field investigator if you so wish. It doesn't necessarily happen to go in your district. So if you're watching this video and you like Dan and you want Dan to investigate, when you make your report to MUFON, ask for Dan Jones, and they'll see it and they'll have to send it to them. Because the guy who gets it will be like, I'm not Dan Jones. Who's Dan Jones? And then they'll send it to Dan. All right. So there's a little hack there. If so, and to go on to that, the organization that you're with has issues because it's large. There's so many people not able to communicate and not able to work together because of the structure that it's designed. And we had that challenges when I was there. And, we tried to fix it. We did everything that we absolutely could. And then ultimately, whatever had happened because it just simply wasn't what they wanted.
Well, when you have an organizational chart that is constantly moving, that's, that can be confusing too.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, people coming and going was very hard, but you stuck it through. You were there the whole time. I think you started maybe a month before I did. You're still there. You haven't left.
Mm-hmm.
You've been to zero though. You didn't nowhere near the controversial shitstorm that I did. But no, but you're still doing it. And thank you for your service, man. Like you were an ace. You still are an ace. I'm good. I'm glad to hear from you.
And I'm looking for. I mean, MUFON provides me with the cases, but I feel a lot of time, I'm working for myself. I'm doing this more for me than for the organization. I want to help the witness, the experiencer. I want to connect and and give them the answers that they need, that they deserve. Sorry, that in the event.
So the label of the organization, and the problems that the organization has had plays no effect on you if they request, because it's you that's doing the case, right?
Yeah. Every case is it's individual. I don't carry that burden with me. Well, I'm sorry, but what happened with MUFON, but I'm doing this for me and the witness.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. And that's why I want to reinforce that anyone who chooses, if MUFON is the best service provider for your experience, and you happen to know a field investigator by name, make a request, and it should get to them. And if you get somebody else, make a complaint and get the person that you want. Mm-hmm. It's because of that organization. Unfortunately, I'm all you got at the moment for the Tessa side. So you get what you get, but eventually, I'm hoping that Dan will be part of the investigating team on our side as well. Mm-hmm. And then you can make a request for him if you so choose, and I'd be more than happy to share that with him. So before we get into that part, one more thing I wanted to ask specifically about your MUFON work before we got into the Tessa stuff is I want you to talk about that publication, because that's a huge thing. You got a couple cases published, right? Mm-hmm. So your investigations were good enough that it was recognized by National. Yep. So for everyone listening, so MUFON Canada is a umbrella of MUFON HQ National in the United States. But it was every once in a while they cherry pick some cases for their journals and publications and stuff. So yes. Dan's 2 cases, I think you had, right?
3.
Well, look at that. So 3 of those cases were hand selected. I don't know of any other MUFON Canada chap other than myself when I did the journal back on my first case. And I only did 1. So I would say that you hold the record for having publications.
Possibly.
So what? Talk about those cases. Let's run them down. Oh, before we get in there, Chantel threw in a super question. What was your best feel-good paranormal case and why? Both of you. Oh, damn. This is a paid question. Damn, we have to answer.
Paranormal is that's your genre.
My best feel-good paranormal. You never feel good with paranormal case. Honestly, though, my best experience, I suppose, on the investigative side, there was a time where I've done some investigative work on a haunted location, and I've talked to a bunch of people that that have had experiences in this location. So it was a theater or an opera house, to be specific. And I had triangulated through the conversations and the sightings what the being may look like and where they were seen. And based on the commonalities and trends and the measures, as I always do, I kind of pinpointed these three locations within the facility that if we were going to get residual energy or activity, those would be the highest points of getting it. So I made a hypothesis with that. Put that in an envelope, didn't share with anybody, brought the Uncharted team at the time, which was Blacklight Uncharted. And with me with one of those members was my wife at the time. She's still my wife. At the time, she was with me. But so she goes in and she identifies as a intuitive I'm gonna get shot if I don't get this right. But she can sense she can sense the spirits. I know I'm gonna be hung here because I can't remember it. But anyway, she's really good at it. She's a Reiki master as well. But the point of the story is she walks in blind, not knowing anything. I don't share this investigation with her, and you can come up with other excuses you want to have to say that I filled her in. I didn't. I know this for myself. I didn't, and I'm very particular. Like a walking EMF detector. She picked out of all those rooms. There was like 100 rooms. We went to all of them. Out of all of them, she selected the 3 rooms where she felt activity, and she even described to the T some of the description of eyewitness testimonies that I already had written inside this sealed envelope. So for me, that was a feel-good paranormal case, but at the same time, what the fuck? I don't know anything about paranormal. And what's up with you that you were able to do that? And that is also why we have the Experience Support Association, which she's also a founder of as well. So that's mine, Dan. You go.
I had one case of an orb case that after an investigation, finding the location and talking to the witness, and the description of the orbs, and then it was finally revealed that the witness lived right behind a cemetery. So I came to the conclusion this was a paranormal. This was it's the only time it's ever crossed over for me. And I think I was going in the right direction. That part of this energy that she was seeing, the orbs she was seeing, I think were coming from the cemetery. I was sure because the way there's small orbs, clouds. Not really a ET type or UFO type of descriptions that I'm used to seeing. It was more of an energy that this witness was seeing. So I had determined that I think that I told her paranormal is not my genre, is not my field, but I think you are witnessing energy possibly from the graveyard that you're adjacent to. Does that sound like a good conclusion? From your seat as a paranormal expert?
I'm not an expert in paranormal. So paranormal simply means anything that's not normal. Yeah. By definition, Dan, you are a paranormal investigator because UFOs and ET and extraterrestrial are not normal. Mm-hmm. So I have these titles, but technically I'm a phenomenologist. Yeah. I am studying the people that experience the phenomenon, and through that, all these other, that's where I'm learning more about these phenomenons. And as I stated earlier, the graveyard thing kind of doesn't resonate to me on that theory, but it's still an orb. So
it just didn't sound like a typical orb case. It sounded more like an energy incident, and I didn't know where else it could be coming from. As possibly now, I know a lot of you don't see a lot of phenomenon in a cemetery because, like as we said before, ghosts and energy usually appear where the deceased is frequented. But I was just at a loss of an explanation. So we had talked about it, and she's possibly. I wasn't sure in that case, but see, I used to draw a line between UFO, ET, and paranormal. I used to think they were a separate subject, a separate entity. But from after working with you, I'm realizing now, like you said, paranormal is just something that's not normal. Mm-hmm. And that definition has helped me, because I used to think, paranormal is all ghosts, that's all the energy, and the UFO and the ET are a separate category.
Now, if they're connected, does that not make it easier?
Yeah.
And then, so you've also seen the ultra spectrum. Mm-hmm. What is your feedback on that? And thank you, Chantel, for that question. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. With the Hynek classification system and the Valet classification system, which you use through MUFON, mm-hmm. I introduced our ultra spectrum classification system, which pissed a lot of people off. But as a field investigator using said Hynek classification scale,
the Valley classification system has is what MUFON uses, and it works. It does help them classify things and give them a 1, 2, 3, a classification, but it's a little bit vague. When I looked at your chart, there's a lot more detail. It helps narrow it down a lot more to what this, and give it a more specific category. That's why I liked about your classification system.
Cool. You can use that classification system in the MUFON CMS. And there's a place for that. I have tons of hacks. We'll get into that. So that's behind the scenes stuff. So let's go back to your 3 top cases that were published, starting with your worst one to your best one.
So I've already discussed the best one. That was the case in London at the university.
Okay. So that was in there. Okay.
That was in there. And there was a case in Newmarket. This witness had actually videoed I'll describe it as not quite a cylinder, but more of a tic tac, not an egg, not a cylinder, but I would describe more of a tic tac shaped object moving over her home. And the video was amazing. It was clear. Distance was hard to determine because of the side. It was a totally clear sky. I'm thinking it was possibly within a mile of the witness of the filming, and it was a nice, clear, good resolution on the video. And after a forensic review of the video, there were no windows on this craft. There were no propulsion system. There were no wings. There was no exhaust. She claimed there was no noise, anything, and it was a really, really nice piece of footage, and definitely a UFO, definitely not extraterrestrial. I don't know of any man-made craft that can propel itself across the sky without some kind of obvious wings or propulsion system or exhaust or sound or something. This thing was just floating this guy on a straight path. Though it wasn't a balloon, it wasn't a piece of garbage. This thing was on a fixed path, and it was going across the sky on a mission. And the witness had a really good video of it, and that was really, really an exciting case to investigate. And my conclusion was UFO, absolutely. Now, given the location that the video was shot and where the witness lived in Newmarket, and the direction of the craft, if you back it up, it was. I mean, the Downsview Air Base is down there in Toronto. But I still don't think it was any man-made craft. So that was an exciting case to investigate. Nothing on radar, no calls to the airport. Again, no. And I live in Allison, which is close to Base Borden, as you know. I mean, you've visited there, and I see not on a regular basis, but occasionally I see things that are zinging across the sky up there, and I think they're drones or some kind of experiment. And then when you ask about, no sir, there was nothing. We have no known craft in the air at that time. So I think there is experimental drone. I mean, they don't have to tell us what they're doing, but they're definitely, I've seen quite significant size craft in the sky, and I just assume they're some kind of a drone. But when you ask about it, say, oh no, we really don't have any any report or any information we can give you right now. So I don't know all what goes on up, but it's a pretty quiet base. It's more of a training base, more of an educational base. They don't use their runways. I know there's a helicopter squadron working out of there, and I see those choppers go over. They're all black ops choppers that go to and fro mostly at night in that base. But I'm not sure, and they're not going to really tell you exactly what goes on up there. But the third case, I'm just going to grab the book, because the third case, I want to get it right.
I can tell you that those helicopters are training helicopters, because that's what I did. I did some of my training, infantry training there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's no secret stuff going on there, as far as I know.
I don't know if they're flying personnel in and out, or it's just our training. They prefer to train
for the jump training and things like that. So it gets used for that.
So the That was my new market case. What was my? Sorry, the second case, or the third case escapes me. It was the orbs over Niagara Falls. That was cool. This the witness had actually had photographed. They were at Niagara Falls. Now I know there's the water can create droplets and things, but these were large size balls, like almost like beach ball size orbs that were just kind of, the witness had photographed them. There's no video, but they had still photographed these orbs that were kind of dancing around and changing position. There was 4 of them that sort of had this little maneuver they were doing, and they were visiting Niagara Falls, and they were down at the on the Canadian side at the railing one night and during their stay, and they didn't see that every night. They only saw it this one particular evening. And so I thought, because I said, well, if it's something to do with the water, the droplets, the mist, the humidity, it's something you're going to see on a regular basis. And he agreed. He said, but we only saw it this one evening, and they had photographed it. And to me, it did not look like any kind of a phenomenon from water or humidity or mist or anything. These looked like good size, maybe volleyball to beach ball size orbs they had photographed, and in several photographs, and they were in different positions. That was one of the cases.
Not a lens flare or light refraction. There's nothing nearby that could have caused that.
I didn't think I could see some. There was some. You could see some light in some of the pictures, but it didn't seem to be causing any kind of reflection that was creating these orbs, because it was in several. They had taken several frames before they had disappeared. They said all of a sudden, and it was gone. Yeah,
did they move when they took the pictures, or?
I no, you know what? I don't. They seem to be in the same position because they're kind of against the railing, and they're in the same. The frame is the same.
Yeah, click. Yeah,
he's going click, 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 and then the pictures before and after that of the falls, there was nothing similar in that. There was no light refractions and shadows and bleeds like that. That was. I think that was they really captured some cool evidence there.
Cool. I think I remember seeing that case too. That picture, I remember a picture of the falls. I think that was kind of like on my way out the door. Which was so graceful. So let's talk about that, because from your experience, what happened?
What do you mean? What happened?
What happened with me and MUFON? From your experience, from your perspective.
You were moving in a different direction that they didn't want to move in, is what I took from it, and it was not a bad direction. It was a good direction, but I think the organization seemed to want to contain their line, their way of management of thinking, and you were kind of outside the box. Which is a good thing, with some new ideas and some proven ideas that were beneficial. And I think that's where the conflict was, and that's where you got frustrated and said, "I'm sorry, I can't continue."
That's pretty well it. Except I didn't quit.
Sorry, yeah, you were.
Yeah. I was just.
We no longer need your services.
They Thanos'd me. They just made me just gone and buried me and deleted me as if I didn't exist.
Yeah.
And
that was unfortunate. There was no compromise there. Okay, well, let's talk about it. Let's test your idea. Let's test your lines here. But yeah, it was just kind of you didn't fit now, and we have to move on.
Was I doing anything wrong?
Huh? No.
Yeah. So why pull the plug on me?
I think an organization needs fresh thinking. They need to look at new ideas, and they need to, especially from somebody who has experience, who has has some fresh ideas that can be beneficial. But I think some organizations, MUFON included, just you sort of told the line, and this is the way we do things, and we don't sway.
So those new ideas, or those ideas that weren't heard, are now what we call the Experiencers Support Association.
Mm-hmm. So you've proven that your ideas are successful, but what you're trying to implement, you now implement it on your own, and it's been a successful adventure.
So sorry, I was just checking my phone. Why do you want to join Tessa?
I'm very interested in what you're doing, your mission. It'll be a fresh. I want to work. Let me say, I want to work simultaneously. I still would like to have my cases from MUFON, because I still enjoy the cases I receive from MUFON. But I would like to also experience what Tessa is doing, and the mission that you're on. That also interests me very much, and I'm hoping I can be some benefit to Tessa.
Of course. Do you think there would be any conflict on your side with MUFON, with you being associated with Tessa?
I hope not. If anyone's listening out there, Jason, or Stu or Dave or something, I hope not. I'm not poo-pooing MUFON. I just would like to let's put get my feet wet with Tessa as well. I mean, it can only benefit MUFON from what I learned with Tessa. I can also apply to the cases that I work on MUFON too.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm hoping for too, because to bridge that gap, to come back full circle. Now we have the opportunity to work together again. And if you do develop some skills, then that will help you with the experiencer. Mm-hmm. Because that's what it all comes down to. The label, who you work for, doesn't really matter as long as we keep the cases confidential within organizations, and we set up boundaries and things like that too. Mm-hmm. Also, what's available to you is we can assist you with your MUFON cases if you get stuck, if we were able to open up that line of communication. Mm-hmm. So what Tessa is available for all groups that need assistance with the cases after they've been investigated, to be that next level of review, so that way we can put it in our annual reports, as you commented on for that the CSIS report as well. Thank you for doing that.
No, yeah, that was a good survey, your Kate event survey. That was excellent. That's the first time I had actually read it page for page, and it's
Thank you.
Like I said, it's a really good investigative tool for anyone in the UFO community at any level of investigation. The information and the data and the breakdown and everything was very easy to understand and detailed.
I appreciate that too, and the point of me releasing it in that way is hoping that by showing my work, it would help other people do that, and also I'm hoping that someone will find it and say, hey, I know what it is, or you missed something, blah blah blah, and then we can start to build this team of experts. Mm-hmm. So on the evidence review, so we have what's called the Evidence Review and Intellectual Development Unit, which is our specialist team, our evidence review team. We haven't really officially talked about what we're going to do, but the idea is to have you as the MUFON Canada liaison, in the sense of, after we're done investigating cases, you're part of this big group, which includes Alex Mistretta, who is the director, basically what I was for MUFON Canada, but for MUFON USA. And then we also have Stephen Coffey. We have Tim Morrison, who's another private investigator as well. And everybody just reviews the information after we've collected all the data. And then if the collective, that super team, and we also have Stephen Coffey, who's our drone specialist. If we all come together and be like, yeah, we don't know what it is, and that's that extra level within the investigation process. Mm-hmm. So you get to weigh in on the cases that matter, and then vice versa. What I'm hoping is, once MUFON starts to realize that you're associating with us, if there is an issue, it might open up the door where we can assist each other at the appropriate stages.
Yeah.
For the benefit of the mission and the benefit of the experiencer, because the case that you have, we don't have. And it doesn't matter if we have it, but we have a report that you guys don't have. So if we were to include your best cases in the report, and then that becomes a Canadian-wide report, Canadian investigators along the likes could go.
I mean, the more resources you have to investigate a case can only benefit. You can only benefit the case, right?
Yeah,
I think. I mean, you've got MUFON is cool with their, the database is searchable, and you can reach out to other, you can cross-reference similar cases, similar descriptions, and talk to other investigators. But to have a fresh look at something, I think, is beneficial as well. And I think that's what Tessa is going to be, is a fresh look at the same old.
Cool, man. So let's talk more about you. What goals do you have as a field investigator for the benefit of the experiencers? You, without any labels, without any groups, just all hold bar. You have everything you need in front of you. What are you doing?
Well, my goal is always to first of all collect all the information I can, all the witness information that I can, sit back, analyze that, and then start the discussion, and to always at the same time putting the witness or the experiencers mind at ease. Not giving them the answers that they want. I'm not just going to agree and say, oh yeah, that's what you saw, but really talk to them, form a professional relationship with them, and always trying to ease their mind, because a lot of experiencers, a lot of witnesses are upset for a long time over something they've seen. They're experiencing headaches, and then they can't sleep, and a lot of that is not actually from they've been zapped or affected by the experience, but because it's their anxiety, it's their mind that they can't figure out what they've seen. It's really bothering them that they think they've they're traumatized sometimes. And I think the big part of the investigator and witness relationship is putting the witness's mind at ease, and giving them some reasonable explanation. And I mean, I'm not a psychologist, and I'm not a therapist of any kind, but just getting at their level and saying, yeah, hey, I know where you're coming from. I've been there, and it's okay. It's okay to feel the way you're feeling, and then just have a trust with them.
Well, you're an experiencer too, right? So that so you can definitely relate.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good. So what kind of challenges do you think you might face?
What kind of challenges might I face?
Yeah.
In an investigation?
Yeah.
The challenges that are probably the ones I do face and I have faced are when I think I've come to a reasonable conclusion, or I'm sure I've proven what the witness has experienced, and I'm laying it out, and like, this is what it is. Like, for example, let's go back to the International Space Station. When I've proven to the witness, like, this thing was, because you can track it, right? This thing was above the description I've got from you, and it was right above your head. At this time, it was a clear, now this is what you've seen, but you've got witnesses, not just with that event, but other events that they're just, no, that's not what I saw. No, I saw a UFO, and that's all there is to it, and I'm not accepting what you're saying. And that's a challenge. That really, really is a challenge. And sometimes you just have to agree to disagree, and thank you very much, but this is as far as we can go. And that's frustrating. Not that I'm trying to change anybody's mind, because you believe what you want to believe, but a lot of witnesses just don't accept the obvious, or they don't accept the data or the evidence that you're showing them. So that's a challenge.
So no, I totally understand where you're coming from too. So if they don't accept what you're telling them, how do you deal with that?
I just have to. I just say, okay, I've given you, from my end, I've given you my explanation for it. I believe this is the explanation. I believe this is what you have seen. If you choose not to accept that, and that is, that's totally up to you. But from my seat, this is what you have seen, and I don't argue. We don't argue with them or anything, and that's fine. You're free to believe what you want to believe, but I do believe this is the conclusion. It was a space station. It was Starlink. It was a meteor, or something like that. And I knew I'd do my best to prove it. And once I got all the evidence on the table, and they still choose not to accept it, I mean, what do? It was CFD, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
So
see, that's the thing too. That's one of the challenges too. And just so you know, my light just died, so it's dark. I can't really do anything right now. Sorry about that. Is because they do reach out to us and they want answers. We give them an opinion. We don't have validation one way or another.
No,
they don't accept it. So some of them already know what it is, or think they already know. But then there's what would the next step be? How could you? Does it have to end there, or could you refer them somewhere? Could you provide an alternative?
I was summoned to suggest to resubmit. I mean, get another investigator. I mean, really, I said, don't hurt my feelings. Resubmit the report, and somebody else's opinion on it. But as far as my experience and research goes, this is what I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't happen too often, but once in a while, that you just get the people that know. I don't care what you say. This was a UFO, and this. Oh, okay, okay. We're free to disagree. That's okay.
Yeah, no worries. Priscilla chimed in. She said, "I agree, Dan. So hard for me to comment right now." Yeah. So no, it's good. It is a challenge, and it's an unsung hero challenge, and at least you were there, and you know what, we're on to the next one. But then that's where this document, if we go back to it, will kind of help us, because then maybe we could be more. Have more evidence to support that side for us, because we're looking at it on a data oriented, trying to debunk it. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
And then we have our beliefs in there too. So we kind of help believe them a little bit more too. Priscilla also said, so difficult for all the skepticism.
And it is because people really, they honestly believe that in their mind they saw what they saw, and then you're not, that they believe what they have seen, and I accept that. Yeah, I know. Okay, you're totally convinced. This is what you saw, and that's challenging, because you're not. They think it's hard to change someone's mind. It really is. Who is not open for suggestions or open for explanation. They want you to agree with them. Yes, I saw the UFO. I saw the triangle. I saw the gray waving at me. Kind of thing. They want you to just confirm what they're saying, and sometimes you just can't do that. For your own integrity, your own reputation, you can't just agree with the witness just because that's what they're stuck on.
No, but if we can't identify it either, we have to leave it kind of limbo, right? So if they do want to believe, and that belief is still strong and holding with them, is it not possible that they're not seeing, that they may be seeing it through a psychogenic experience?
Yeah.
Meaning it does exist, it's happening for real. It's just in a reality in which we cannot measure.
Yeah.
Is that a possibility?
Yeah. And some things from my seat, something just becomes so bizarre that there's always a little bit of embellishment sometimes in cases for, to convince you, they want to convince you that this is what they saw, but some things get really, really bizarre. And then you've got kind of, I don't want to say an over-imagined, I don't want to say a mental illness, but you've got an overactive mind sometimes at work.
So you weed it all out and all these other things too, and you get down to that. But your responses are typical for someone who investigates UFOs.
Yeah.
So you got to think about everything else. There's the ET phenomenon, the interdimensional beings, the cryptozoology, Bigfoot. What are your thoughts on Bigfoot? Does Bigfoot exist?
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about that. Why does Bigfoot exist?
Whatever he is, whether he's ET, whether he's crypto, whether he's a a leftover, a half-evolved human being, he's out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I believe he's out there.
What evidence is out there to have you believe that?
I mean, the eyewitnesses. It's like UFOs, like ET. There's just too many accounts that are identical or very similar. And now you've got people who have collected DNA. They've got or claim they've got DNA. They've got hair samples. They've got claim to have feces samples and all that. Is more evidence that yes, I think Bigfoot. The only thing that I find it's hard to believe is that we haven't stumbled across. There has been more. We haven't found more evidence of it aside from just eyewitness accounts. There's been actual more physical evidence, or we can't find them when these investigators go out on a hunt, and they're out there for days and days and days in a known area of a Bigfoot location. Could they be interdimensional? Could they choose not to be seen when they don't want to be seen? That's a possibility for me too. Why don't you find? People say, well, why don't we find a dead one? Well, how many dead bears do you find is laying in the woods, or how many? That doesn't happen very often. That's why sometimes think it could be interdimensional. They could be a leftover, or they could be extraterrestrial themselves.
Okay, so if Bigfoot's an extraterrestrial, then and you believe that exists, is it not possible that the experiencer is seeing extraterrestrials?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right. So is there any extraterrestrial research or training in the MUFON manual?
It's like as far as experience, like with seeing an entity or seeing a being. I can't remember. It's been a long time I looked at the manual.
Well, you can't remember because there's not, and
if I would agree with you. I don't remember there being a training of identifying or dealing with an extraterrestrial.
Yeah, no, it's all good. So these are what the fuck's persona? No, these are tough questions because this phenomenon is interconnected. There's so much going on, right? So, what do you believe? What is the answer for ghosts? Let's start there. What do you believe is the final answer on the ghost phenomenon?
On the ghost phenomenon?
Yeah.
That I believe ghosts. I believe ghosts exist, and I believe it's a leftover energy. Some of them, I believe, don't care to pass on to the next realm or the next dimension. I believe ghosts are around us, and I've seen them. I've witnessed them. You won't ever change my mind about that. I'm not a skeptic anymore. I've had ghostly encounters, and they're here.
Okay, cool. And aliens? What's your explanation on that?
Okay, now that's getting a little.
We haven't got there yet, right? Because we know UFOs and things like that too, right?
I believe we're visited. I believe we're in contact. I believe our most interaction with ETs are the Greys. The Greys are a broad civilization of beings. They've been relocated and hybrid, and I think that's where most of our interaction with extraterrestrial is from the Greys, who I believe are in the Orion star system, the Zeta Reticuli. I believe they're governed by different other different ET civilizations, like the Draconians or Reptilians. The Greys aren't. Despite, I'll go back to my first view of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I don't believe they're that friendly. I don't believe the Greys are all that. I believe they believe in service to one, without regard to any other being or what they cause to any other being or creature. They need. I think all of our abductions come from the Greys. That they come down and abduct the humans because I think they need our DNA. They need us to farm their race, to continue their civilization. Why? I don't know. I don't know why, if they already have an established civilization, why they continue to need human DNA, but they seem to. And this is where they kind of go against I know we touched on other episodes where I've asked questions about the cosmic law of one and then the Galacturian alignment. Well, this is where ET civilizations and species that are self-serving go against sort of the universal cosmic law, which is not to interfere with other races, which is not to manipulate DNA, which is not to kill, not to abduct, not to interfere with other civilizations. And I believe that's what the Greys are doing. And a lot of accounts, people are returned, back to their home, back to their bed. But there are accounts where people have gone through horrific experiences in the presence of Greys, and that interests me very much. That concerns me. It is
very concerning.
Hmm?
So, what's the motive behind it? What do you think? Why do you think they're doing that?
To preserve their own civilization, to preserve their own species. And again, I go back to, I don't know, without being able to speak with one of them, I don't know why, if they have this huge, this population, this civilization, why they continue to need any DNA or specimens from humans to preserve or evolve their race, because they seem to be asexual, and they seem to be reproduced in more of a lab environment. So the interest, I think it started with, remember the cattle mutilations, and the cattle, I think that's where sort of their abduction process started. Well, what can we get what we need from animals? And I don't think that was working. We have to go to humans.
Right.
I think it's basically for reproduction material, our women's ovaries, their reproductive systems, sperm, whatever they need. For some reason, they need that to preserve their civilization and continue to evolve and reproduce.
Now,
that's me. That's my theory on it,
based on stuff that you've researched and people you've talked to and things you've studied. Mm-hmm. To pull that right out of your hat, it sounds kind of off the cuff, but like I can relate to some things like that too. So with that in mind, with the government about to release information, do you think they would include anything that along the lines of that? Because if they were doing that, you think they'd have to get permission?
Well, that's one of the things that they don't do. They don't get permission from any governing authority in the Galacturian alignment of the galaxy or the universe. They just go and do what they want to do. I think if the government disclosed that there was an interaction, there was some kind of an exchange deal going on, that they were in contact with any extraterrestrial, I don't think they would disclose that. I think that would just be too much of a shock. So even though humans are becoming more and more desensitized by these little tidbits of information we get by movies, by information that's being revealed, by disclosure of, we talked about the fighters filming the craft. We're slowly, I think they want to desensitize us slowly, so one day they could reveal more, but we're not there yet. Mm-hmm. I don't think they want to disclose or admit that they're actually there's an information exchange going on with any other civilization in the universe except for Earth.
Okay. Now, with those beings and these crafts that you've investigated, is it possible that the beings are piloting the crafts, or are they two separate phenomena?
So can they what?
Is it possible that those beings are piloting these crafts that you've investigated, like the triangle and these orbs that you're seeing?
I think for the most part, I think the craft that visit Earth are drone type, are unmanned. I believe that some of the beings that could be on them are biological robots. You know what I mean? They're living, breathing, blood-filled creatures, but they are still robots. They're still drone. I think the extraterrestrials, civilizations, some of them have that technology to actually construct a robot or a drone, but it's a living, breathing one and thinking one. I think both of the craft that come are surveillance. They're a drone type, but I do believe at the larger craft that come, I think do have the actual ET navigating it.
Okay, so to go back on what you were saying with the law of one and them coming in and doing whatever they want to do, and with us not having any say in it, does that mean that the government is just allowing it? Or like, how come the government isn't, like, how come it's just not so obvious that we're seeing it all the time? Because if they want us to be to be known, would they not just reveal themselves?
There's nothing they can do about it. I don't think the government. I don't think we have the ability to stop a species who has evolved millions of years ahead of us. Their technology, their capabilities. I think we're just helpless.
So if we're helpless, why not? Why won't they just reveal themselves to us?
Well, that's the mystery. I don't think they want to. I think Earth. They look at Earth as almost just an experimental planet. We're so primitive to them that's the interest. We can just kind of change things here and pick away at things, and we can contact them when we want, and we can, they don't have the defense. They don't have the capability to stop us from doing what we want to do.
Mm-hmm. So if they're picking us up and they're experimenting on us, are they like you said, like, there's possibility of them harvesting us for their stuff, but is it possible that they may be fixing us or correcting us or healing us or helping us, studying us?
Yeah, I do. I think they will. One of my personal beliefs, and it does go with some of my research, is that they will use our DNA to recreate a hybrid to put an ET, a gray who looks just like us, back on Earth, and to be able to interact, to be able to work with us, move with us, live with us, learn from us, teach us. Whatever I think there are many, I would just say, hybrid humans that are walking the face of the Earth, that are created from our DNA in a laboratory, then placed back on Earth. For the purpose, I don't know what purpose. Maybe to start to seed a higher level of consciousness, to start that process. And then eventually, it follows, because more and more humans become, or more and more creatures of Earth become a higher level of consciousness. Could that be the goal, or could it just be to have more control, have more surveillance, have more interaction with humans, to seek out what they need on this planet by placing hybrid humans here?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, because like if they're evolving us, then that would suggest that there's a purpose for us.
Yeah, there's some kind of a concern, some kind of, they want to kind of help us evolve to a higher level of consciousness.
So have you ever had an experience or case where they've talked about ET or extraterrestrials, where they viewed it as a positive experience, or has it always been negative?
No, I haven't had anyone come and say, "Oh, it was a wonderful experience. I had an interaction with an ET." They're always scared. It's always a scary situation. I had one fellow actually in London again. I don't know if it's a coincidence. Felt that he had an out of body experience. He had felt he had been on a craft, an ET craft, had an interaction with Greys, returned to his home, and felt that he had a implant in the back of his neck. He said he could feel like almost like a rice type of size hard thing at the bottom of his top of his spine, where the spine kind of joins the brain. And I was willing to go out and have a look at it, and just see if I could, identify it. Either maybe do some kind of test. If it's metallic, I have a very sensitive metal detector. There's also a technique, it's probably you get with a very, very powerful magnet. If you hold it, if the implant is close to the skin and you hold the magnet over it, it may even rise a little bit. It may even come up onto the skin, or the metal detector could sense it. But then when I had talked about that, and then he said no, he didn't want that. He saw, I'll get my girlfriend to do that. I'll get my girlfriend to do the magnet test or something like that. But when I had actually wanted to make plans to go and meet with him, interview him, and possibly examine the site where he thinks the implant was, it just shut down the conversation. He didn't want to talk anymore.
What makes it hard for them too, there's a comfort level that you're working with as well, and they don't want to have that answer too. There's a little bit of a fear there, right? Because what if it is, what if it isn't? And you're trying to, you're trying to get him an answer, but it's also something he's not willing to accept, possibly because he believes it to be something that we can't explain.
And I also discovered that unless you have a really good relationship with your doctor, doctor just won't order a foreign body ultrasound. They just won't say, "Oh, I think I have an implant. Can you give me an X-ray or give me a scan?" They won't do it. They won't. It has to be some medical reason why, they will do an ultrasound of any part or a scan or X-ray or CT of any part of your body. You just can't say, "Oh, foreign body." That doesn't fly. I say unless you're really cool with your doctor, you might do it, but most won't.
Yeah. There are some theories out there that these implants are biological, so they don't actually pick up. There wouldn't be any metal detection.
Yeah.
Do you believe in that? Believe that possible?
Yeah, I think some are more of a silicone nature that may not show up in an X-ray or a metal detection or any kind of scan. They're like you say, they're biological. They maybe move throughout the body, or they're actually inserted as a cell or something that can't be detected.
Do you think it's possible that it was put there by man, or does it have to be, or is this an ET thing?
No, I think right now it's an ET thing with all the scares and the theories going on with the COVID vaccine. So all the anti-vaxxers, well, not all of them, but some of them are saying, "Oh no, they're just injecting
implants,
enzymes into your body, or chips, or something like that." But I don't believe that at this point.
Well, you would be one to know. You work there.
Yeah. I don't believe that. I don't think they're really trying to vaccinate us. Believe me.
So then that begs to the question as to why are they chipping us? If that's what's happening, if this scenario is real, this individual or other individuals who have experienced this are being taken, and these biological or metal pieces of rice or small items are being inserted. For what purpose? What do you think that is?
Why do we put a tracking device on a dolphin or an animal or band a bird, or for tracking, for research, for just seeing what our habits are, what we do, where we go, who we interact with, what we think, what we eat.
So what makes the experiencer that receives that special? Why is that one selected?
That I don't know. I don't know if they're targeted. Okay, this is the person we want because they're this, that, and the other, or it's just random. But they were just easy pickings that day, so we grab them and we'll give them some kind of a chip or a tracking device. That I don't know.
That's pretty terrifying. Those are pretty terrifying scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
So are you able to take that same scenario and put a positive spin on that? Is it possible that all these events are happening, you're being taken, chipped, and all this other stuff for all these same reasons, but is there any positive to that?
It could be. I could say, hey, I've been selected by the Greys to for research, and they're interested in what I do and what I know, where I go, what I think, what I eat. That could be a positive.
That is a positive. Is it possible that these people that are selected have abilities?
I represent the humans.
But what about abilities? Consciousness, psychokinesis, telepathic, Reiki, healing, things like this. Like, is there any psychogenic phenomenon that is associated with these experiencers that might be the reason why they're being tracked?
It could be. I would think as long as they're not, I think it would be a good experience, or a positive or an acceptable experience, as long as it's not trying to control you, as long as it's not, putting you on a mission, or causing you any harm, or any, changing your character, changing who you are. If it's just purely for research, I don't see the, I shouldn't say the harm, but I don't see the fear if it's really just for research.
Well, no, I know. The problem with this is conjecture. We don't have answers. We don't have them
No.
here to defend themselves. We don't know, and we're just trying to make sense of it, right? So it's really, it could go either way. We do have some chatter in the chat. So before we end this, I'll just bring up what they've been sharing their comments about this part two, because it kind of got a little heavy there. But V has said there are no hostile aliens, and Priscilla had chimed in that she agreed with that.
No, they're very hostile. They're aliens that want to cause us harm. The whole reptilian civilization, any ET that's coming from the draconian star system is known to be hostile, and
But these are theories, though. We haven't, like, people get experiences from many different types of ET species. So how do we know that these maybe it's not the Greys? Maybe the great, maybe it's something else, right? So they're like what she's saying is that there are no hostile aliens. So this should be maybe speaking specifically or collectively on all the many species, because we're just focusing on Greys for the purpose of this conversation.
I think they're very much like our civilization. We have peaceful humans, we have hostile humans, we have humans of duality, of all levels of emotion and character and intent. I think ETs are the same way. They have a variety of intentions in their civilizations.
Are you aware of any extraterrestrial race that may have a positive intent with their species?
I mean, just in theory, the angelic cores, the Nordics. I mean, I'm not saying this is a theory. I never met them and talked to them, but in theory, there are many humans. And if you believe in the cosmic law of one and the galactic alliance, they promote harmony amongst the planets and the galaxy. This is what they want. They want everyone to be in peace and love and help each other. And then you've got the other side that is sort of the contrary law that sort of lays down, okay, you don't do this, this, and this, and this, because there are species that are doing things contrary to a peaceful direction.
Okay, so it's got to be a balance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We need someone to show up, but that's for us who've not had these experiences. Now, from the experiencer perspective, some have positive experiences, some have negative experiences. Can you not believe the experiencer if they were positive about it?
Oh, definitely. I've read. I've never spoken with an experiencer who has been aboard a craft, I think. But you read reports, you read the research, and they come back after a claim of abduction. They come back with all different levels of stories. It was a great experience. It was an awful experience. I was terrorized. I was, probed and experimented, or I was treated well. Interacting, and it's like I say, it depends on who grabs you.
I don't think it really depends on who grabs you. I think it really depends on the person, on how they believe it, because you got to think about it. These events are unintentional. It's not. I've never experienced anyone that said, "Hey, take me now,"
no,
and then had a negative experience. Other than like, oh, that's the Ouija board phenomenon, like all that other stuff too. So I mean, like it's tough because there's a lot of people all over the place. Like, we're talking about cases that you've done that I've never helped with, and all this other stuff, and I'm relaying cases that we've done as well. But there's similarities. But these people, what they have in common is they're subjected to something. Some people see it as positive. I'd like to have majority of them believe that it's positive, because that's, if it's going to happen, why not find a positive look on it?
Yeah. But
if a lot of it is negative, maybe you just had a lot of negative experience in that phenomenon. Who knows?
I think. I mean, I would feel honored to be chosen to be taken aboard a craft and have have the experience, have the interaction with an ET. That would be, I think, it'd be a fantastic experience, provided there was a mutual respect. There was a harmony there. We were both there to learn from each other and to to grow and to exchange ideas.
Mm-hmm. So we'll just Priscilla threw a question here. Your spirit guides are here for your purpose. Sorry, just because my comment is underneath doesn't mean that my answer to the above. Feeling awesome here.
Okay, thanks, Priscilla.
Thanks. So, before we leave, do you have anything you want to say at all?
Just stay positive and just enjoy your experiences. And like Ryan always says, look to the skies, heed the word, and let's carry on.
Yeah, thanks, man. So I want to thank you. Thank you for being on. This is your first podcast. I know this was hard a little bit, but you made it through. And I really do appreciate everything that you've done, the time that you worked, we worked together, and things like that. You're not used to being in this type of environment, so I want to say thank you for doing that. And whatnot too. Just a quick little shout out to our guys, just to let you know that I will be having my lunchtime special tomorrow at noon. So make sure you tune in to YouTube for that. And EA is this Saturday. So that's Experiencers Anonymous. If you guys don't know what Experiencers Anonymous is, it's essentially a safe place for you to meet with Chantel and Tim to discuss your experiences without investigations, without research, without journalism, just to have a conversation with other experiencers about what has happened to you, negative, positive, and you get to share your experiences in a private setting. No reports, no investigations, nothing like that. Just a comfortable meeting. So that happens once a month. The next one is this Saturday. So if you head over to Eventbrite, and search the Experiencer Support Association, or if you go to tessacan.org/EA, and you could register for your free ticket, that'll get you the Zoom meeting, and you'll be able to share your experiences and have a great conversation about that. And Priscilla hashtags empath. We'll leave it on that. All right. So thank you, everybody who's communicating in the chat. Thank you all for the supers. Thanks for watching. Keep your eyes in the sky. Heed the world. Thanks for listening. Keep your eyes in the sky. Say it with me. Heed the world. Good night, everybody.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, where together, my friends, we own the night. On our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a place called the SOR Sightlines Report. All of our investigations and people who inquire are turned over to TESSA, the Experiencer Support Association. Ryan Stacy and his crew, what I like about them, they're independent. They're not working for anybody, and they want answers. We want answers for our listeners and people who inquire as well about their experiences. It's a great tandem, and we love being teamed up with TESSA. If you haven't heard of us before, that's okay. We'd love to earn your listening ears. Join us 9:06 Pacific Time, 12:06 a.m. Eastern for 3 hours of live entertainment, 7 days a week.
To your regularly scheduled program.
Do you think there was a spoiler or something, like in the superhero movies? Oh, you did? Well, head over to YouTube and join the channel as a member, because Uncharted Case Files is back. Better than ever. See you there.
I want to thank our support team with assisting me and helping all of our experiencers during these times of high strangeness. We are not alone, everything is connected, and we are in this together. Please remember, Tessa is everyone. I may have started this movement, but it is each and every one of you that carries us through. Thanks for looking up, keep your eyes in the sky, and heed the world.